Team preview number 8. Skylar King alongside Eric Seals here at IllinoisPrep.com. As always, you can hit us up on Twitter at SkylarIPrep, at EricIPrep, and as always, let us know what you're thinking on the message boards. Team number 8, 16 trophies, 13 state titles. We must be talking about the Hilltoppers.
Must be talking about them.
Joliet Catholic 10-2 a year ago with losses to Carmel in week 3 at Carmel, and then a testy, to say the least, 17-14 loss to the Richwoods Knights down in Peoria. I was listening to that game on the radio, and you could hear the fans of Joliet Catholic exchanging pleasantries with the officials during that game.
I mean, it was definitely a surprise. Well, at least for a lot of people up here. As soon as you pass south of Kankakee, we don't give many teams a lot of love.
Right.
A lot of teams down there I probably believed and knew that they could do it. But 17-14, that was, if they played 10 times, I'm going to go with JCA, to go 9.
Well, speaking of playing 10 times, week 3 at Joliet Memorial, the Richwoods Knights come marching in, and we did some research on the Knights to potentially put them in our top 10. They lost a lot of talent.
A lot of talent. And like you said, especially teams down there, a lot of people play both ways.
Right.
So if you lose one person, you're really losing 2.
Right.
So.
They lost 14 all-conference players, and they do have the guy who probably, if he wasn't last year, will probably be the state rushing leader this year, junior Kendrick Foster. It seemed like every time we looked up a Richwood score, he had like 180 yards or 250 yards. And he might be an all Eric Seals all-star, too. He's short.
Is he short?
Yeah.
He's shorter than 5'8"?
But back to the Hilltoppers. The first thing you notice is no Montini in the opener this year.
No.
They beat Montini 21-7 in the opener, and that's got to be something that leaves a bad taste in their mouth, because they might as well have the T-shirts that say Joliet Catholic 21 state champ 7. Yeah,
well, I mean, when they decide when to play each other, that's something that they figure out, years in advance.
Yeah,
usually, and they say, hey, let's play 4 times, 3 times. So it could have been the end of that. And they might say, hey, we want to go play some other people right now.
We'll see in Champaign instead.
It very much well might be the case.
Right. But I mean, 2 of their first 3 games are probably Joliet Catholic's 2 biggest games of the season. Against Carmel in the opener at JCA. That's one of the teams that knocked them off last year. And then that week 3 game against Richwoods, because that's a team that they had to reckon with in 5A last year. And so they're going to want to send a message to a team they could potentially see in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, the thing I hate about that first game with Carmel is, the first games are usually just it's sloppy. It's not usually the best representation of what that team's going to be in that conference. That pretty much is the battle for who's going to be first.
Right.
After that, you got
Marist.
You got Marist, but more likely between JCA and Carmel. So tough that game is going to be first, but it's a big one though. It's a huge one. You got to come right out the gate, and you have to go ahead and try to take out your conference foe.
Could be 11 billion rushing yards in that football game.
It could be
because Carmel
might be quick.
Carmel
might
likes
be quick.
to pound it. The Hilltoppers like to pound it, and the Hilltoppers are going to be pounding it a lot with Northwestern bound Malin Jones.
Yeah, you got Malin Jones, Ty Isaac, Tyler Wrights. Joliet Catholic they're going to stack their running backs.
Right.
They always got that nice big old line. Put some horses behind them, as we love the big horses that can run the ball. And that's one thing that they're always going to have. They only the thing is only got one old lineman coming back. That's Jake Jankowski. Jake Jankowski.
Yeah. He's not Sebastian. He's not Polish.
Not Sebastian.
He might be
Polish. It might be. He's
not Sebastian.
On the defensive side, you have Austin Bowden. After losing, they're losing a lot of people. And,
10 starting defensive players.
And you look at that, you're like, well, any team that loses that many people, you're going to have to bump them down. But then you start looking at the history of JCA, Dan Sharp, and what goes on in the Joliet community with that school, and you're like, maybe not.
Yeah, we did a little research, and Dan Sharp, I believe it was his first season as head coach, around 96 or 97.
Yep.
They went 5-5. every other year they've had a winning season.
Yep.
A lot of double-digit win seasons.
Yep. And I read, I didn't know that he took Manuka to the semis before he went there. So he's definitely a coach that can get it done anywhere.
6 state titles
in
15 years. Pretty nice
good
percentage.
Yeah, pretty good.
Accounting for nearly half of the school's total, and it will be half if they can pull off a 5A title this year.
Yep.
And again, like we talked about in that Providence, I'm assuming Joliet Catholic's going to be 5A.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they could they be 4A?
I mean,
that might be unfair.
No, I mean, does the new rule bump you up for any reason, or does it keep you in the same class? That's something we got to look into heavier, because I don't think you're going to get bumped up.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Could they get bumped down to 4A?
Well, they'll never get bumped down. That's for schools that have never won anything. And probably in the bottom of that clause, it says except for JCA. Yeah, JCA. No matter what happens,
we don't want high school kids to die. Joliet Catholic can't get.
I don't care if 20 years from now you haven't won a game. You're never getting bumped down.
If you have 5 kids in school, you're still
gonna be there. We might bump you up.
Right? Because they'll all be All-Americans.
Well, might as well.
So. Again, I mean, when you look at this schedule, again, Carmel week 1, Niles, Notre Dame, Bridgewood, St. Viator, Bennett, Nazareth, Chicago Heights, Marion, St. Pat's, and Marist. You have them losing a football game?
Maybe go 8-1.
8-1?
Maybe go, because I think Ridgewood's them coming up to Joliet. I don't think it's going to be as close of a game. If going down to Ridgewood's, there's a whole different atmosphere.
Right.
Coming up here,
that's going to be a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're going to be all over them.
I mean, that's one of those where it's like. Are the officials going to call holding on Richwoods every play?
Yeah. No, as you said, it's going to be a bloodbath. So, Carmel, man, I love that game last year, and I can't wait to go to this. Yeah. Just let people know I will be at that game because.
So, look for Eric Steele's on the sideline at Joliet Memorial, August 26th, 7:30 game time. When we come back, we'll talk a little more about where this season's going to lead for Joliet Catholic. Certainly. Semifinals disappointing for this program, although it's a success for everyone else. When we come back, we'll play it forward to say, will they be playing in Champaign this season? At Skylar iPrep, at Eric iPrep, we'll both be back right after this. So back at it, talking Hilltopper football. He said 8-1. I can pretty much agree with that. I could probably see a loss in either the first or last game of the season, either at Marist or home to Carmel. I would actually tend to say at Marist.
I was going to say more of the first game.
Because again, it's sort
of
like
rolling at the end of the year.
Yeah, but those are the 2 teams they lost to, those first 3 games. There's going to be some extra motivation. And it's at home. They have to go to Marist. So, I mean, I could see one of those. I could certainly see them going 9-0 as well.
And I'll tell you, I went to 2 or 3 games at Marist last year. For some reason, I just like how it's set up over there. It's kind of enclosed. You have the kind of the apartments behind. It's kind of the neighborhood feel. So it's a nice little feel.
But how's the home field advantage? That's what.
It's a very sloppy field. I'll tell you that. It's like Soldier Field. It's way worse though.
So do you think that's an advantage to Marist? I mean,
a lot of people would like to say that because they're playing on it all the time. Yeah, they're more used to it.
A power running team would be more geared to play on a sloppy field than a high flying passing.
I don't think it would be anything that would honestly make a difference in the game. But I would rather take the running team.
Yeah. So the real issue here is obviously Joliet Catholic. They're in reload mode every year.
Every year.
So the real question is, are they going to not only make it to the state final, are they going to see Montini again for the second time in 3 years?
They're going to see Montini. And I don't know when they're going to see him, but they're going to see him.
And can they beat Montini?
I think it'll be tough. I think for some reason I have a feeling that's the team that we're going to be seeing later this week. They got some new weapons. They have one of the most dangerous weapons in the state at wide receiver, and so it should be really interesting. I
think 23 receiving touchdowns for him last
year. Yeah, and see, the question I have with a team like Joliet, really known for the run game. That's what they do. When they practice, do they practice knowing that they're going to go against a team that has a strong passing attack? Right. Because going up against a Richwoods, I'm going to think that, they're going to do pretty good because they run as well.
Those 2 teams are mirror images.
Exactly. So what happens when you
runs more pro style running in terms of like lining up in the eye and hand as opposed to the option. But yeah, I mean, we're going to run the ball and play defense. I think that is the biggest advantage that Montini has, and the reason that Wheaton South and Maine South have been able to dominate is because they embrace more of a passing attack, which you don't. There's some schools, like some conferences, you won't see a team that throws the ball more than 10 times the entire season.
Games end in 30 minutes.
Right, and so and especially when you got not just a team that likes to pass, but a team that has a kid like Westerkamp, who is 6'2", 195, prototypical like big college receiver.
Yep.
That to me is the Montini X factor over Joliet Catholic.
Do you think it's somehow gonna get messed up where we're not gonna see them at the end of the year, but see them early in the playoffs?
Again, it's pretty cut and dry because the way the IHSA does it, it's all about your record. It doesn't matter who the best team is. When they seed you, it's going to be if you're 9-0, you're a 1 seed. So, Joliet Catholic was 8-1 last year. They weren't a 1 seed. And that's why they had to play Richwoods, who was undefeated. And obviously, someone would have had to play, Montini or Joliet Catholic would have had to play Richwoods in the semis if they had gone undefeated instead of 8-1. But that to me is the biggest thing. Is there a Richwoods out there that if Joliet Catholic and Montini both go 9-0, that one of them is going to have to play in advance? That's going to be that dogfight game that either they lose or it takes so much. I mean, if you look at what happened to Richwoods after the Joliet Catholic game, they got smoked.
Well, we see that every year. There's always a part of the bracket that's a little weaker. So one team is going to have to go through a harder trench to get to the state championship game.
So
it's kind of luck of the draw.
I mean, Montini over Joliet Catholic in the title game?
At this point, I'd have to say yes.
Yeah, I mean,
from what I know right now, what they have coming back, I would have to say so.
To me, we're going to be doing a lot more preview stuff, and talking about the top 10 whatevers in the state of football. To me, that's the best rivalry in the state right now. Two 5A schools that have played a couple times the regular season, have played in a title game.
I don't think that's the best rivalry in the state.
Okay. Come on. Give it
I think before Montini and Driscoll were a better one when they played against each other. Of course, Driscoll's not school anymore. But right now, without a doubt, I'm gonna have to say Wheaton South, Maine South. They've been going back and forth. It just blows. I mean,
but the games haven't been that competitive.
That's the problem. That's true.
Montini,
they've been almost one side on each way. It's like they can't get a close game.
Right. So to me, that's like, you can't even say it's an even matchup. It's like they win the same amount of times, but it's a massacre every time. Like it's a game you'd leave at halftime each time. To me, you can't be. There's got to be, because to me there's no chance for any venom there.
Yeah.
Like you need to have some like that Maine South Loyola game you were at last year. If they play a couple more times in the playoffs, nail biters like that, there's gonna be a little venom on either side.
Yeah.
To me, that's what makes Joliet Catholic Montini.
It's been getting real good, though. It's been getting real good.
And I think it helps to be in the same class.
Yeah.
Because Wheaton South and Maine South can never beat each other in the playoffs.
And similar schools. They're very similar to each other.
Yes.
They're
smaller private Catholic schools.
Yep. They're Joliet is, a little bit more secluded, in that area. So it changed a little bit from Montini. I think Montini will have a harder time getting their student athletes because you have the DVC right there.
Sure.
You have a lot of good local schools. Joliet, you got the Linkaway schools down there.
Joliet doesn't. They got Malin Jones from Naperville. They'll pull you from anywhere.
Yeah.
They'll pull you from Wisconsin, up by Lake Zurich.
But you are Joliet. I mean, if you talk about a name that rings a bell throughout the state, it's always going to be JCA, unless something changes.
Going for Title 14.
Yep.
Next time, team number 7, a controversial team, to say the least. Next time here on IllinoisPrep.com for Eric Seals, I'm Skylar King.